couple weeks ago, I decided to make a game in only 24 hours using the Scratch game engine. My inspiration for the game I was making is an old game called Basconian, which released back in 1981. It's an old retro spaceship shooter, and me and my brother used to enjoy playing it together. The first step in making this project was making a satisfying player controller. This mostly entails just making some smooth velocity and deceleration that makes you not feel so static and like you're actually flying through space. After making the player controller, I decided to make a background, that way I could start feeling the actual space vibe of the game. After that, I added these dust particles, which I think is a fantastic addition to give yourself a visual feedback on flying through space. Upon adding the dust particles, I next added a screen shake system, that way we get to make our collisions and other things more impactful. Next, I added this time counter here, but I actually ended up removing this as the direction of the game changed. I also added this high score system, which I also removed as, again, the direction of the game was no longer going in the same directory. I proceeded to add these bullets that you could shoot as the player character, as well as this nice muzzle flash. I started to get off track and making a completely different game as I started to panic on the amount of time I had. But I decided to go back to my Bosconian idea and just sacrifice the scale of the project. I then added this camera scrolling, that way it could be like the Bosconian game, as Bosconian didn't have a fixed camera, you could fly around wherever you want. After making this decision, I decided to add these asteroids, which you can shoot and collide with. I added this nice visual feedback of your character and the asteroid flashing white, as well as adding some screen shake to give yourself some more visual feedback. After that, I added in the speed counter, which I think is a great addition. It really shows you how fast you're going and makes you feel like you're zooming through this universe. After that, I finally decided to add a health bar, that way you could actually see how much health you're having when you run into these asteroids and other things. I also added this really cool effect where each bar falls off the health bar when you take damage. After that, it was finally time to add some simple enemies. These were a lot simpler than I was wanting, and I wanted a lot more, but again, in 24 hours is quite a short span of time to make these. Next, I added in this dialogue system to basically tell you when the game's starting, what's happening, and when you actually completed the game. And that icon of the general right there is definitely hand-drawn and not from Gundam. Upon doing that, I added the finishing touches of sound effects, music, and then finally published it to itch.io. And that's how I released a Scratch game in 24 hours. The game is a lot smaller and missing a lot of elements I preferred to have in it, but for 24 hours I'm quite satisfied. I also wanted to see if I could possibly release this game to Steam, but it does take a $100 entry fee, so I wasn't positive it would be worth my time. So if you guys would like to see that, please like this video, and if it gets enough likes, I'll possibly do it. And letting me know if you guys are actually interested in seeing that down below. Anyways, the link to play the game is in the description, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.